Welcome to the Code of Entry podcast, where we cloud the issues with facts and help you upskill to stay on the digital edge. Here's your host, Greg, with the latest.
Hey team, Greg here with another Code of Entry podcast, this time joined by John Eubank. So John wasn't able to make it here in the studio, so we're going to do this remotely. John, thanks for coming on.
Greg, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Interestingly, I've known John for years, and he's a super dynamic guy, so it's hard to keep up with what he's doing. So I think we'll jump on in and get to know you a little bit and maybe how you got to where you are today, and then take a step forward and be like, hey, what's interesting in tech for you? So just to get a foundation for everybody, you got any hobbies or anything?
Man, my hobbies right now are young kids. So I got a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and one on the way. And if anybody else has toddlers, full well that they consume all of your spare time. But no better use of my spare time than hanging out with the kids and the family. Previous hobbies were a little of everything. I like to dabble in a lot. Decent hunter, go hunting a lot, deer, waterfowl, water skiing, wakeboarding, name it, I dabbled in it. If it was outdoors, I was having fun doing it. But most of that got hung up, and once the kids get older, I'm looking forward to getting out with them and enjoying those hobbies again.
Yep. As a dad of a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old, you have a decade or so to wait. So good luck. But yeah, I understand that. So sleeping is not one of your pastimes right now. So
we're in a good phase right now where wife and I are actually getting some sleep. But we're a month out from the newborn. We're 2 weeks out now from the newborn. About to hang up the sleep for a couple months.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, congratulations. And yeah, good luck.
Thanks. We're excited for it.
Yeah.
Third one's the charm.
Yep. We replaced ourselves in the population, so 2 was all we needed. But all right, so what else? What's your sign?
Oh man, so I'm not really into the whole astrological sign thing, but I'm told I'm a Sagittarius because I was born in December. Though I think signs moved a little bit a while back. I'm not sure if I'm still the same thing, but I will trust your advice there.
Yeah, I'm a Sagittarius, and I know that because whenever I start a meeting, I'll be like, yeah, I'm a Sagittarius, and I like long walks on the beach. So if you've ever been in like a meeting with me, I say it almost every time. And it's more of a, I don't know, EQ test for people in the room to see who's like overly serious and who I can be my normal self with. So yeah.
I think everybody puts
awesome.
a really serious box because I tend to walk in meetings and just start on the topic at hand. And then people are like, who are you? You got to go back and introduce yourself and tell us why you're here and not just jump right into the meat of the discussion. Time is short. I'm too aggressive sometimes, so I'm just getting right to the topic.
That's great. Now you can just send the Code of Entry podcast ahead of time. They can get to know you and you can dive right in. It'll be great. It'll be a good balance.
I hope we can get there today.
In your past, I've interacted with you in a variety of roles, whether it was like a PM or the money guy or the proposals guy or the AI guy or revenue guy. You've had a lot of titles. You've had a breadth of experience really in defense tech. So could you give folks a little bit of an idea of your background and the technologies you think have been kind of most pivotal in the last 5 years or so, and then we'll go forward and look and see what's next.
Yeah, the space, what I really love about the defense contracting space and call it the freedom to operate as a contractor, that there's so many companies out there, some doing absolutely amazing things, all the way to your ones that are just keeping the lights on, doing what they need to do. But you really have unlimited opportunities in the government contracting space, especially in the intelligence community, Department of Defense side. I started my career in accounting, got really bored of accounting, and left one day, started looking for other opportunities. Yeah, I realized the accounting field, now this is 15 years ago, hopefully the field's changed a little bit right now, but I came in and I'd done some basic programming growing up and whatnot. So when I started in the job, I wrote SQL and VBA scripting, pretty much scripted out my entire job. So when I came in the morning, I could push a button, and within 30 minutes, I would have everything I would need to do for the day done. And my boss at the time got pissed at me and was like, this is unacceptable. How dare you automate your job and put all of us out of a job? Delete everything you've done, go back to doing this manually, and don't ever do this again. So what I ended up doing then was I would hit run, and then I would go just study and teach myself and go network and meet other people, and then show up 8 hours later and give her the same content. Just instead of giving it to her in 30 minutes, I'd give it to her in 8 hours. And it really just taught me the accounting field is not right for me, but I had a real passion for doing things better and challenging the status quo. And really got
just to interject for a second for everybody else that's out there, just that's making sure we all realize that's unacceptable, and you don't want that person in your company, not the person automating, but the person that wants to not evolve and get better. Sorry. Back to you.
Oh, no. Unfortunately, it's a common mantra. Man, the number of times in my career I've been told I work too hard, I work too many hours. Why are you doing it? You're not retired military. You don't need to do this effort. Like, your operational support, especially when I was in the accounting or PM side, you don't make an impact. Doesn't matter if you do extra hours. Why are you doing this? It's really unfortunate, especially in some of the larger defense contractors, that these mantras are acceptable. And for recent college grads or new entrants in the workforce, the more senior workforce almost preaches it to the younger generation that you shouldn't work extra hours, you shouldn't work harder. And it's job protection for them. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want the next generation to come in and take their jobs. I understand some of that in some of the really large defense contractors that are almost body shops. Anyway, it just wasn't a fit for me at the time. I've learned to appreciate and understand more how some of the big defense contractors work over the years, but being in my young 20s, it was a bit of a turnoff getting some of that pushed down on me. But it motivated me. And so instead of me working less hours, I actually started working more hours, because I looked at people that were 70 years old, still working full time, doing just tedious, entering data in Excel all day long, typing things in. I was like, at 70 years old, not what I want to be doing. I want to be running the show, not at an entry-level job at 70 years old, doing the same role for 35, 40 years. Motivated me to get out, look for other jobs, went to a job fair, and that's how I fell into tech, really, in general. Was working as a project controller, showed up for a large defense contractor, and the PM quit the day I showed up. And they said, hey, we need somebody that's got a finance background, accounting background, understands project management, blah, blah, blah. And out of this room of 80 people, they raised my hand. Well, that's my background. They're like, congratulations, you're deputy PM of this project over here at DISA. And met with the VP, and she laid out the 7 parts of the project. And this is my first day on the job here. And I was showing up to be the project scheduler, project coordinator kind of thing. Suddenly I'm running the whole show. And she lays out the 7 projects, and she says, we have this little thing called RDK at the time, really BDP. Like $250K, it's just going to die off. Don't even waste your time worrying about it. We have this other thing called the Joint Incident Management System. It's like the greatest thing ever. Spend all your time on it, grow it out. And so I get into the project, and some of these terms people probably recognize. And within the first week, I'm like, this RDK thing is the coolest thing on this entire project. And you're telling me to kill it. And this GIMS thing that you're so excited about is like
hot garbage.
It's garbage. We need to, if there's
said
anything we need to kill, it's this GIMS thing. Anyway, 10 years later now, big data platform, rebranded RDK, is like just blown away. And I got blessed to be a part of that for almost 10 years, helping roll that out across the community from early 2013 to now. And really got to experience the growth and maturation of a lot of different cycles. I think one of the most interesting thing was 2013, 2014, involved with Paul Stannon, now General Stannon, back earlier in his career. And Paul agreed to let us go to the cloud with an Army prototype of BDP in 2013. And the moment people were competing against us, we had the Cloudera's, the Hortonworks, the other data platforms aggressively coming after us. Even our own company was trying to shut us down because they had some ghost machine work that they thought competed with BDP and didn't want us taking talent to do BDP efforts. But we went to the cloud in 2014, and it was a whole new level of people trying to shut us down. The cloud was basically from the devil. How dare you go to the cloud? This is terrible. It's full of vulnerabilities. The worst decision the DoD can make. DISA who was the client for us at the time, was anti-cloud and went on a multi-year anti-cloud thing and tried to stand up their own cloud. It was pretty crazy at the time. especially now, 10 years later, to look back, how people have these cloud first strategies and it's cloud everything. As an early adopter of the cloud, it was brutal, but it was pretty awesome to get involved, be an AWS partner, come into the DoD in the early years, see the transformation that the cloud provided firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I was having a conversation with a company yesterday that a retired Army colonel works at. And I remember that Army colonel telling me, as a major in the Army at the time, what, this thing's in the cloud? Like, it's never going to be safe. I can't believe this in the cloud. And this is years later than you're talking about. This is late 16, early 17, years after that. And still, the cloud's never going to be a thing. I'm pretty sure that the DoD has directed us to go to the cloud. Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. We don't need to worry about it. Okay, sure. So yeah, but fortunately, we've come a long way there. I don't think there are many folks that argue against the cloud now. And now you do have a hybrid cloud argument. And I think probably half of the hybrid cloud argument is valid, dependent on adversary actions, disaster response, that kind of stuff. But half of the private cloud argument is people trying to still protect their data centers. But I digress. So you got to go to the cloud. You were working with this on RDK, becoming BDP. And of course, General Stanton, back then, Lieutenant Colonel Stanton's always been forward-leaning and aggressive and revolutionary. No surprise there that he was at the tip of the spear. I think Isaac was with him. So,
yeah, we had Brosh, Shuchard, Isaac Faber, Stanton in there. Yeah, it was a great crew over the years of really good Army talent that helped drive. You came in, Vince Bonds, a lot of really good. That was just on the Army cyber side. And then we had the POEIS team that really let us operate in an area where others were trying to shut us down. It did take forward-leaning government, forward-leaning contractors all coming together and allowing something to happen. That, man, the aggression was unbelievable at the number and level of people that were SESs out of NSA showing up to meetings saying how terrible the cloud was, how insecure it was, how all these vulnerabilities they identified. It was like, do you cover your eyes every day when you look at your own network? Because maybe you should, that old take the log out of your own eye before you go take the speck out of somebody else's, before you start throwing all these rocks at the cloud. Maybe you should check that DoD network to make sure it's as secure as you say it is.
Yeah, I concur. So what was next, right? BDP.
Yeah, early days of BDP. Man, it was fun. I miss those days when it was a little 5-person team, doubling, tripling. We grew 400% or 500% a year. Some years, just all hands on deck. 100-hour weeks was the norm. It was fun. But it gave me the opportunity, just building this massive data lake where we had a data collection broader than most anybody else in the DoD had at the time. I think NGA was the only larger data collection, maybe still is the only larger data collection, just with the imagery they're collecting, that it opened doors just being involved in the project. Get involved in the early days of artificial intelligence programs here at the DoD. I see some of those bottles that you got on your shelf behind you back when AI was just sprinkled on everything, but was meaningless and really didn't provide value. It was just a marketing buzzword, and to be on stage at NVIDIA's conferences, getting to talk about the work we were doing with BDP, the opportunity from these data lakes to apply AI to it, being up on stage at AWS's government reInvent, talking about bringing BDP into the cloud, what it provided, the new capabilities we were building, really exposed me early to these new technologies that were coming. I think for a long time, we were all thinking AI was just a buzzword. It's exciting to see how much money has actually flowed into the AI sector, and that from that capital inflow, real capability is now coming out of it, and real capability that impacts everybody in their day-to-day job. Just for me, now I write a ton of white papers and proposals and very sales focused these days, taking new technologies, bringing them into the government spaces and trying to convey the story and the value of those. And just basic things like ChatGPT takes where I would take a month or weeks to write a white paper. I can now do it in a single day or a couple days, just by feeding it ideas, getting it to refine and work with me from a very collaborative side. Absolutely impressive. And now running a new startup company where I don't have a large team to turn bounce ideas off, being able to bounce them off the chatbots and the AI tools that are out there. No longer needing a graphics artist. I can just have ChatGPT generate the images and graphics. My project scheduling days, almost pointless. You go into ChatGPT and ask it to create you a Gantt chart, plug in the data you need, and print out a gorgeous Gantt chart. Just been playing around with having it build me PowerPoint files and asking it to build my PowerPoints and feeding it prompts to build PowerPoint files and getting 80% solutions out of it in a matter of minutes. It's just absolutely game changer.
Yeah, I've been super impressed, and I've covered on the podcast a couple of times where, AI was a buzzword. People were lying to your face if they said they were using it. Then OpenAI kind of burst the bubble and really mainstreamed artificial intelligence. So with the kind of advent of the LLMs, I think the other thing that those large language models did is it probably helped advance other sectors of the technology at the same time, because there is a lot less manual work. It sped up that loop of iteration to innovate and start new things. I think the NVIDIA CEO said in the last couple of weeks that, hey, kids shouldn't learn to code anymore because that's not going to be a job any of them are going to be doing. Okay, maybe. I hope that's not quite the case, but for my son that wants to be a computer scientist. But
yeah, it's very interesting on that front, because I just saw an article on college enrollment for computer science majors that it's just growing at such a pace they can't even hire enough professors to teach. And there's these massive wait lists to get into computer science programs right now. And then you have these statements by really intelligent individuals that are truly looking at the future and saying AI is going to replace any job that's heavily text-based. The LLMs are extremely good at that. And we still need smart programmers, don't get me wrong, but we don't need the programmers at scale that we've historically needed, or here, maybe in the near future, we won't. With Copilot, other tools coming along, a lot of we used to have to go search Stack Overflow or go Google. So back when I was writing SQL automations and VBA automations, I would just sit there on Google, like, how do I do this? Find somebody's code that they'd published, customize it to what I wanted. I would repost it back out there with, here's how I customized it, here's how I did it, run my code. It was awesome, just the collaborative nature of that. But now that it's just real time right there. You don't have to spend an hour Googling, 2 hours Googling to get the basis for what you need to solve. Real game changer.
Revolutionary.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's, to your point, it's really highlighting the other fields of AI, where else AI can be applied. The chatbots, the LLMs, really touching everybody's job. Whereas a lot of the other AI efforts that are happening in pockets that maybe aren't as broadly known about, they're still progressing at an absolutely rapid, awesome pace. It's leading where the next company that I'm building, looking to go, really looking at what's next and seeing the quantum space. Super interesting. With quantum such a new paradigm, AI is actually a stepping stone to it and really an enabler. Probably our next breakthroughs, whether it's quantum, some other technology breakthrough, AI is going to help us get there. And being able to, just on the quantum side, push all this quantum research into one system, query it at unbelievable speed, get insights across multiple different research projects, feed back in new research ideas, new areas where we can apply quantum technologies. That's the real game changer right now. What I believe is going to take quantum, this continual 10-year away thing that people have been saying for the last 10, 15 years. And now it's really a 1 to 5 years away, probably a 3-year away thing, that we can truly start pushing quantum across the enterprise. And AI tools are helping us get there.
Yeah, I think maybe not since the computer / the internet, right? The digitization of society. I think what you saw then is you saw a lot of innovation timelines collapsed, right? And they were accelerated. I think now with the advent and operationalization of AI, you're going to have the projections that were like, oh yeah, this is a 10-year away thing. This is a 20-year away thing. I think they're going to be collapsed significantly, like you're saying. And we're like, hey, quantum, there's physics problems that we need to figure out. Guess what? Physicists can use LLMs too. So there will be a lot of experts that'll be supported by a brand new capability that's a game changer, and it's going to accelerate those timelines. So you started talking about it. You started a new company. What's the name of the company?
Yeah, so I'm going through a couple iterations on that right now. The core company is going to be 10x National Security, and we're looking at subsidiary companies to set up under that with unique focuses inside of there. Those company names are being iterated on. One, it'll be a commercial spinoff that'll be AI and quantum focused, and then we'll have a defense contractor focused one, maybe as holding companies. But as I've gotten out and I've started meeting a lot of other small business owners here in the defense tech space, realizing there's a lot of synergies between what we're doing, but there's this talent shortage. So trying to figure out an idea of how can we bring together multiple company owners under a common umbrella and share our expertise and talents across each other while still allowing each one to own their company. We share a small equity stake in each other's company. So my vision of what the company is going to be has been evolving over time. It's where I'm really excited to get great people in the door to help guide me. I don't know everything, though I wish I did some days, but it's about finding the right people to collaborate with. Still in that early stage, founding of the company, getting those people in the door here. Hopefully early May we'll be there. But right now it's 10xnationalsecurity.com, and core focus is new and emerging technologies like quantum, AI, how we can bring those in to support national security missions and not go all in on quantum, have that as one core focus, but also pick up more traditional areas where we're seeing challenges, seeing needs, seeing requirements in the DoD that others aren't solving, with that common theme of what you and I have been working on for the last decade plus now, data management at scale, which AI doesn't entirely solve. It probably makes that challenge even more complex and harder. One of the things that I'm really excited about quantum is new ways of doing data transport and data movement, and the quantum ideas for being able to move qubits in real time across the world. That would be truly a game changer on the data side. It's just such a problem right now in not only the private sector too. We have these petabytes of data being generated at the edge. We can't get enough processing out there at the edge. How do we get them back to the enterprise? Quantum could truly enable us to do global data management in real time. It's super exciting. It makes quantum an enabler for AI-based data processing.
Yeah, and for maybe a quick primer for some folks, quantum. So you've got the idea that right now a computer thinks in ones and zeros, and those ones and zeros will make it so that you can do calculations, right? So you go with ones and zeros binary through your CPU and your memory. Quantum enables is for that positional value to hold a 1, a 0, or a 1 and a 0 at the same time. You're exponentially increasing your compute power. And so that's one way. There's another thing of quantum entanglement where, hey, we can actually entangle two pieces of technology over long distances. And when a change happens on one, it happens on both. So then that happens with, hey, I generate data at the edge. It gets teleported to this other location thanks to, I don't know, physics. I can't explain this part. Physics. And it's automatically at the location, right? There's no network bandwidth issues or anything to worry about. And that'll be ridiculous, right? So whether we're talking about getting data from the edge or just trying to put people on Mars and still being able to communicate, right? That's awesome. Another quick quantum topic is quantum encryption, post-quantum encryption. Recently, Apple has said, hey, iMessage, it's got post-quantum encryption. Okay, great. Because most of our current encryption, right, you've probably seen the charts before if you're anywhere in the IT or security sector, right? That's if your password is so many characters with special characters, it'll take 17 years to crack. Introduce quantum, it'll be like, it will take 30 seconds to crack, right? So you need new forms of encryption. And that's, you got these places where it's, hey, I want to be revolutionary by supporting post-quantum encryption. That's probably a lower bar. Then I want to be able to use qubits and quantum computing to do advanced analytics over huge scales of data with algorithms that might not have scaled before or scale now. That's probably a medium-term target. And then quantum entanglement, that might be way up here. Hopefully it happens. But I think there's some physicists that still have some work to do on that one. So if you watch Big Bang Theory, hopefully Sheldon's hard at work on that one. All right, sorry, my quick primer on quantum.
No, you hit on an interesting topic there of quantum encryption too. And just real quick, I highly recommend everybody go check out NSA's page on that before they invest too heavily in any quantum encryption technologies. Very interesting. NSA is saying, hold the horses here. Don't go jump in on this quite yet. There's still a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of risk there. Their opinion is it really opens you up to insider threats. Plus, a lot of marketing buzzword on not clearly defined things. But NSA is prototyping a bunch out, and looking at NSA as like the experts on crypto. Highly recommend following their recommendations here, seeing where they're going. They're trying to roll out their first quantum systems, quantum encryption capabilities in 2025, with a plan that the entire DoD IC will be fully on post-quantum cryptography algorithms by 2035. So, traditional DoD timeline, 10-year rollouts. Just temper what you're hearing in the market on quantum crypto with an understanding NSA still doesn't confidently say it's fully there, and they have a 10-year, really 11-year roadmap before they even fully embrace quantum, post-quantum cryptography algorithms.
Yeah, and I think because the current state of quantum is it's still too far in its infancy to be practical in most cases. Sitting here today, you'd be better off taking a workload to the cloud and running it in the cloud and scaling traditionally. But to your point earlier, in the past, we were like, hey, in 10 years, though, it's going to be quantum. We need to be protected in 10 years. I think those assessments are woefully off. And it's probably more in a 3 to 5 year time range with kind of, we used to talk about in the military about these things that happened that were revolutions in military affairs, things that just changed the world. And one of those was gunpowder, right? AI is gunpowder for tech, and we'll see what happens. I think it's going to compress a lot of timelines.
And the more capital flowing in, one of the challenges in quantum right now is really just finding those applications. Quantum truly outperforms classical computers. One of those applications I'm super excited for is the data transport challenges. Less of, I'll say, a traditional computation issue and more just a network challenge. Google recently launched with some partners an X Prize, which is a $5 million prize. Those that can come up with real world use cases for quantum computing algorithms and applications. We're seeing it broadly across the DoD. There's SBIRs out right now, which are small amounts of money. There's BAAs, other funding sources from the DoD now giving prizes, grants, full contracts to research and develop in this area. So I truly believe the opportunities are coming. It's going to get real sooner than many are thinking. And it's time that a lot of defense contractors really start looking at how do we get quantum ready? And for the prior federal government, how do we start preparing ourselves for the next 3 to 5 years as we move to quantum architectures?
Yeah, and it sounds like they reach out to 10xnatsec.com to learn more.
Yeah, great spot to get started. I'm excited though, but it's also just the traditional DoD challenges, like simple things, IPv6. We still haven't fully rolled that out across the enterprise, and how long has IPv6 been around? And these mandates that thou shalt use IPv6 inside the DoD still hasn't been done. Still in lab environments testing it out. We may get quantum before we get IPv6, which would be super cool and super interesting to see happen. But at the same time, transformation in the DoD takes a long time.
Yeah, I think we were looking at IPv4 exhaustion, and everybody was just like, instead, we're going to start rolling private IP addresses and only have one public IP, and we'll fix it with private IP. So then when it became not an emergency anymore, it just fell off as a topic of interest. But it's a real problem, but we'll get to it eventually, but likely not in the DoD anytime soon. I think it's one of those things that's fallen off as it's not mission critical since we started rolling so many private IPs. But yeah. So we've talked big data platform, data. We've talked a little bit about quantum. Are there any other technologies that you think are super interesting as a next thing?
There's so many going on across all sectors right now. The microelectronics industry, you see another huge influx of capital coming into the microelectronics sector right now. This big push to onshore, bring back to the US, microelectronics, manufacturing, fabrication, packaging, the whole gamut. Anywhere I see these massive inflows of capital for government invested, I see transformation happening and amazing opportunities to innovate and new tech going to come out of it. So I won't say I'm an expert on microelectronics. If anything, I'm far from understanding that sector. I probably understand quantum more than I understand what's happening at the microelectronics level and the research and development innovation happening there. But it's another area that I'm starting to invest more time, energy into, and looking at what can be innovated in the microelectronics.
What was it? It was Intel and the Biden administration. It's an $8.5 billion agreement to onshore silicon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And specifically for space applications, all these broad fields, you really got to narrow down, pick out your niche where you're really interested. Just the evolution of space and the capabilities as we shrink the satellites down and the other space-based systems get with improvements. The microelectronics manufacturing area, just lower and lower power, more efficient chips and hardware capabilities that we can send more powerful applications into the space environment, or even the human research side that comes out of that, of being able to embed microelectronics into the human body and the interactions between us, microelectronic based capabilities. I'm super excited for the future and seeing this investment, the breakthroughs that are going to happen both in human health and also space applications are two of my interest areas there.
Yeah, I wish my quantum understanding was a little bit better, a little bit deeper, because I have this like research idea I'm really interested by, and it's what about, space-based quantum, because one of the principles is you need to get towards absolute zero so that the chip has quantum properties, and there's some other ways to get towards quantum now, but that seems to be the most efficient / traditional physics-based. So you're going to talk quantum entanglement. If we could get space-based cooling, it would be easier to maintain the temperatures and isolate the chips. And then if you throw in quantum entanglement, it'd be very easy to get the data to those for processing. Yeah, I'd be interested to see where that goes. But there's probably somebody listening to this. That's not how that works. And I would love to hear from you because I'm really interested in it.
It is how it works and a lot of the investments going on. And that's one of the cool things about quantum is it is such a technology race with our competitors and our peer adversaries. We see China putting satellites in space that have quantum capabilities. They're undefined as to what they're actually doing with them, but they are pushing quantum-based capabilities into the space environment, or so it's marketed as. And so it's going to drive U.S. competition in that space as we also start researching and investing more heavily in the quantum sector and competing in the space environment with our adversaries. One of the big topics right now is we're assuming GPS is going to go away here in the near future. How do we replace GPS systems? And that is the alternative position navigation and timing, or APNT, is also looking at quantum-based systems as the next way for humans to navigate and chart themselves, understand what time it is, where they're located. And it'll be probably space-based quantum systems that will all have some little gadget in our car, in our phone, that is communicating with those quantum assets.
Yeah, a lot happening. So I'm interested too. So you have a podcast, and how do you find time to do all these things? And can you tell us about the podcast? Because you're about to have a baby, you've got toddlers, you've got a new company, you're writing proposals, you're on my podcast. Thank you very much. And you have your own podcast. So how do you make time for this? And can you tell us about your podcast?
Yeah, co-hosting a podcast with two other great guys out of the defense sector here that ran across, Brian Nobbs, Joe Dean, just great individuals, way more technical than I am, way smarter than I'll ever be. Get the opportunity. And the Research and Greatness podcast, we really host other individuals somewhere on their path, learn about what they're doing, where they're going, what value they're bringing, what their companies are doing. And it's intended to be a knowledge sharing opportunity with our audience where they can listen in, pick up advice on running a business, scaling technology, building new technologies, primarily defense tech related, but covering general technology, general business areas too. So definitely check us out. Right now, best way to find us is on Spotify or YouTube, Researching Greatness. or researchinggreatness.com. If you want to hit our website, get a link there. We're also on LinkedIn. And if anybody wants to be on that show, we're always looking for new people to host. But how do I find the time? That hits on that health topic that I was talking about previously. Is I've always been go. That's just my mentality ever since probably high school. I grew up really poor. And so I'm just motivated to not have that life. And I want a life to give to my kids, to give to future generations, where every week we're not deciding whether we can pay the bills or not. That's not a thought anymore. I really want to motivate my kids to go out and change the world and not have to think about, can I pay my bills today or not? So that drives me a lot, but it also means I need to live for a while. I need to take care of my health. COVID happened. I was drinking like 3 pots of coffee a day, and I used to be able to stay up literally all night. Like I could go 48 hours on coffee alone, writing a proposal, working on whatever the BDP issue or problem was of the day. And it's really where I built my reputation was I would just grind it out until the problem was solved. And it was like, you just give John pots of coffee, give him a problem, he will get it done. And somewhere over COVID, like my body just started rejecting coffee. It was like, you're done. And I would just crash at 2:00 in the afternoon. And it was like a block to everything I've been accomplishing. I was like, I've got to figure out how to solve this. So I just started researching supplements to take, started reaching out to people, and I've gotten on a supplement plan now and done blood tests, DNA tests, all this stuff to figure out what supplements I need to take. And man, get them back on track. That really enables getting an ungodly amount of stuff done in a single day. It's like you're in the zone, on the right supplements, you're working out every day, your body's motivated. You get so much time back. And I do 8 hours with my kids, spend 8 hours doing work, then 6-7 hours sleeping. I still find time to get a workout in. And I'm early morning, not super early, 10 a.m. right now. I'm jazzed up. I'm ready to hit this day, rock it out. And found that just getting the right mental state is unbelievable what you can accomplish. And when you think you're running out of time, you suddenly find so much more time in the day if you're just more alert, more present, and taking care of your personal health. Anyway, long answer to a short question, but I'm super motivated on, hey, if anybody's hitting a bad spot in life, whether you got mental challenges or just too much stress, too much going on, like you really need to look in and say, what's wrong with my body? Because I'm either putting junk in and then I'm getting junk out, garbage in, garbage out. And you got to fix that. Intake directly reflects the outputs that you're doing. I'm jazzed up, fired up, and ready to take on the world right now.
Awesome. Yeah, great advice. And I found I was traveling a lot in the last kind of year of my work, and I was crashing pretty hard, but it's no routine, not great nutrition, not finding time to work out, and being able to reset and get into a routine and get that fitness plan going. Yeah, it's awesome. So great answer. But yeah, hang in there when I guess J5 is born here soon. So.
Yeah. It's also one of the areas just so excited for the future of tech. And I know people are concerned about like invasion of privacy and other things of implanting something into their body or having something there. A lot of people do it today as glucose monitors or other things to monitor basic blood sugar levels or something. To be able to monitor my body in real time, every 6 months I try to go get a blood test now to understand what's happening inside my body. And if you get a full blood panel done, you really get really good insights as to your vitamin levels and nutrient levels inside your body. But to be able to see that in real time and to say, hey, I'm short on magnesium or potassium, or whatever nutrient your body needs. And to be able to, in real time, get the nutrient to your body where it's needed and make those micro adjustments every minute of the day, every hour of the day, or have it automatically done by some injection system, I see as an absolutely amazing part of the future. Every morning, not just randomly taking a multivitamin, but I'm taking the exact supplement that I need to energize myself for the day. Just the unlocking of human potential that'll release.
Super excited. And you see those patches a lot that people have on for blood sugar monitoring. I actually saw an ad for one last week that was just general nutrition tracking. So I thought
that's the future right there. That's where we're going.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I think everybody, they don't know they need it until they've tried it. And once you start getting those right nutrients in your body, man, you get this unbelievable level of energy and like passion to do things, to get it done, unbridled.
Yeah, and there's so many people out there that mask their natural feelings with caffeine or nicotine or alcohol or any or all of the three, that you really don't know what the baseline's supposed to feel like. So, yeah.
Yeah, actually,
Good
you mentioned
nutrition.
the alcohol thing there. My wife gave up drinking, and I mean, part of the driver is we have a lot of young kids, and can't while she's breastfeeding and pregnant with the kids and all that. But it's been a real motivator for me to cut down on my alcohol consumption. And I'll still drink socially or whatnot, but man, talk about another game changer. Just being in the DoD, Department of Defense, a lot, you tend to drink a lot. And now I've pivoted to probably more cigars than alcohol these days. Probably way more cigars than I should, but cutting down on the alcohol consumption while also fixing the supplements and nutrients coming in, that's just another absolute game changer. I might go a month, 2 months without even a drink. And man, it's sort of interesting to see how the human body responds and things I didn't even realize of alcohol consumption impacting me in my day-to-day job, that now my job performance is off the charts. And maybe not entirely from cutting back on the drinking, but definitely seeing some value out of it.
Yeah, and it's funny, we're sitting here on a tech podcast talking about nutrition, but in our community, caffeine is a god. I think it's very relevant to listeners to be like, hey, your nutrition matters, your health matters, taking time for yourself matters. Just like data into a data processing system, garbage in is garbage out. You know, what you put in your body affects your ability to perform. So I appreciate us taking that angle for a little while.
Yeah, and I'm a huge advocate for that right now. I think when you truly get down to innovating and when you want to solve a problem, to focus on a problem for a long time, you've got to be in the right state of mind. You've got to be feeding your body the right content to energize and produce the output you want. And to our earlier points on AI accelerating things, I think you can accelerate the human body and your mental performance. You can take something that will take you weeks, months, and just shrink that down. Why not do it? And I love applying that in here in the tech sector, especially as I build this new company. Hopefully find some great partners. Can afford to get involved with you and Carrie and some others in this new endeavor. It's one of the parts I want to put in place for the company is we're going to pay for people's supplements. We're going to help them on their nutrition, dietary journeys. And it's a core focus of the company that not only do I want you to show up and work every day, but I want you working at your peak performance, and I'm going to help you get there. And if that's personal trainers, be paid for by the company, and they'll reduce your health bills long term, make it a more enjoyable place to work. Why not do simple things like that? So yeah, really trying to, one of my mentors talks about, you've got to look at people's personal, professional, and financial goals and help them along in every one of those areas, or else they're just a revolving door and people are going to leave if they think all you care about is their professional goal. So planning to tackle all that in the new company, and always looking for advice and those that want to come on this journey with us. So feel free to check us out, 10xnationalsecurity.com. Love to have you be a part of our journey.
Awesome. John, it's been a pleasure having you. We talked about a lot of good stuff. Any closing comments you'd like to make? I'll leave it to you.
Can't appreciate more you having me on the show, getting a chance to give a little piece of what happens inside my brain to your guests. It's a tangled web inside this brain, and I appreciate those that tuned in for a few minutes here to listen to it. Hope you all got some insight. And as I mentioned there, I'm always open to feedback and recommendations, so feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and give me some advice and guidance. Thank you for hosting me.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, John. And to the Code of Entry community, keep hustling.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at Code of Entry and online at codeofentry.com. Check back for new episodes or join the team by signing up for notifications. Until next time, keep hustling.